podcast where sales and marketing talk. Welcome to another episode of Frenemies, the podcast where sales and marketing talk. My name is still Julia Hartwig. I stand for marketing here, and I'm talking to.
I am Ahmet Albayrak and I am the sales.
Yes, today we want to talk about something that's upon all us. That's the start of the year. And I think one thing that sales and marketing have in common in that is that everything is reset to zero.
Yes.
You're just sitting on this massive pile of targets you have to reach, and you're kind of starting from scratch. Even though, is that actually a thing we have in common? Because, of course, so normally all of the marketing targets are set to zero. But actually, in sales, I mean, you're sitting on pipeline that you can
Yeah.
still turn into revenue, right? So actually you're not working off of zero. I mean, you have things that you can work with, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, how it looked like at the end of the year. It's actually a little bit weird, at the end of because every company should have, it's like they have quarterly reports, so they want to close as many deals as possible before end of the year. So it's actually a hard time for us. It's like our managers are in general pushing us to, hey, it's like set that meeting. It's like, hey, close that deal. Especially for account executives, when they have something going on, and it's when it's at the end of the signing stage, they are pushed to push prospects to sign the contract. And yeah, and how is in marketing looking like at the end of the year?
I mean, I think that the end of a year is an interesting time because in the core, you can't do much anymore to influence the end of the year. Because anything you're driving right now most likely won't turn into revenue before the end is finished,
Hmm.
like the year is finished. So it's of course, you're getting a lot of pressure, and a lot of times there's this tendency to you have unused budget, so let's spend it on a bunch of activities that that don't drive impact, but it's to show that, like, yes, we're doing our part, yes, we're supporting you, but that this is not what's going to move the needle. So generally, it's the start of a year is, of course, a time again where you're sitting on those targets. You also just have a new budget, which, looking at 2023, for most people is gonna be quite a bit smaller than it was up
Hmm.
to now, which of course is its own challenge. But you have this time of the entire year, of the quarter, to get results.
Yeah.
And of course, likewise, same as in sales. I mean, in that, we are not really starting from scratch, because the awareness you have built and the demand you have created in the market, I mean, that is a consistent thing. So everything you drove in the previous year, of course, is also gonna like translate into the new year, where you're gonna see a lot of those leads coming in, with a higher intent, ideally. Especially in the start of the year, you also have this pressure of, we need results really fast, and you need to show that the start of the year is really good. You are, like, delivering on your targets, and that can also lead to very, quick and rash decisions, and focusing on short term rather than long term
Hmm.
impact, just because you need to show that what we're building, what we're doing is working. And most of the times, how you show that is by delivering the targets.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. It's like what I also see, especially in tech world, in tech sales, in tech businesses in general. It's like they want. It's like they all say in not talking for everyone of them, but uh, it's for example for my side, B2B sales is a long term strategy game that I put it all the time like that. When I explain what I'm doing, it's like it's B2B sales. So because you have to build the relationship, it's like it is always afterwards. There's a customer success side of it. After you get the customer, it's not the end. Because right now everyone has tons of options. If you open Capterra or G2, you can see tons of other competitors at one page. It's like it's also there is comparisons on every aspect of your tool, and it's like it's really hard. But what they in general miss, saying these kind of types of things, is just, hey, let's get them on the board. We just, it's like we don't. They sometimes overpromise about their product. It's like they most of the times I see a lot of people. Hey, it's like before I bought this software, I thought it should has this and this feature as well, but it didn't. But when it's something like a serious tool for your business, like a CRM system, for example, you put all the leads in it, it's in the trial stage, you make all the arrangements for your own business, customize it in your own way, and you commit it in a contract for 1 year. But what you get at the end is not what you really expected. So this is also a problem. So in order to solve that, it's like what I'm always, it's like thinking, it's like the pace of, the increased, unnecessary increased pace, the pace of sales should be decreased. And at the same time, you can generate as much as revenue as businesses did as today, but in the long term, you will have more MRR, ARR in comparison what today is. It's like most of the times, when you give them 6 months of contract and they leave after 6 months, a customer churn is a really big issue, and they also lose trust actually in technology. In the most of the cases, people are heard of, technology. Hey, it's like we should implement tech in our business, and they are mostly, it's like over 50 guys, the owners, the real decision makers in, especially in SMEs, so they're over 50, they heard about it, they want to use it, but with these fake promises, they just also lose hope, they also lose productivity for their own businesses as well. What the other companies don't think, it's like economy is a whole organism that you cannot separate these SMEs from your own business. When they not doing well, when they not working efficient, you will not work efficient as well, you will not get much customers as well. It's like there should be a really good balance, and when we lose the balance, now we have an economic recession, of course. So, I just wanted to get it out from my system. So,
I'm here to listen, but I
yeah.
think you just made a very interesting comment that again connects sales and marketing, and that is those false promises. Because it's oftentimes something that's being said about marketing as well. That marketing, tries to turn everything bad into something good and phrase it and sell it and promote it in a way that makes it sound like a benefit, even though it's actually a disadvantage. So I think that's something that truly connects us, and maybe this should be our New Year's resolution: no fake promises in marketing
Yeah.
and sales.
Yeah. Be real. There is the app for it. Be real. Guys, be open about your product. Not give fake promises, and do not overprice your product because of your costs are higher, especially for the big guys.
Another interesting thing you just mentioned, that I wanted to ask about. So you said that towards the end of the year, there's a lot of pressure coming to AEs to close any deals they have in the pipeline that
Mhm.
are close to being signed and get the sign off within that financial year, which in my experience is kind of the opposite of what the buyer wants, because a lot of the time the buyer wants the contract to be signed in the new year, so it actually goes into the budget of that new year. So
Yeah.
how do you navigate this situation of kind of what you're being told from leadership is going exactly against what the buyer is saying to you?
Yeah, it's like what I heard, what I talk with other people, other account executives on that, is they give, for example, everything is decided that, let's say you want to buy a marketing product, but you want to do it in the new year. They just give an extra discount in order to get it closed within this year. And yeah, it's for me, it's a big issue. It's like I don't want to, as a seller, I don't want to sell this with a discounted price, because it hurts my commission as well at the end. And most of the companies, in order to just for example, for some of them, they have quotas, like sending offers. And for example, when they say, hey, we will not buy it, we don't have the budget, and it's a real objection, let's say, and they just say, hey, no problem, we will just send you an offer. It's just an empty activity to fill the numbers. Just get the numbers. Hey, I just sent an offer to Julia, and she declined it. Why? I don't know. It should be avoided and at all costs, in my opinion. But as I explained before, say with the current system that we have right now, it's just working like that.
I mean, that's the same in marketing. So I think we both have like towards end of the year this massive pressure of you need to kind of get done what you can, and there's the same tendency in marketing to invest in these like low converting activities, but to say, okay, we've done it, and to feel like, oh, we've generated this and this many leads.
Yeah.
There was no beef on the bone on those leads, but hey, we generated them. Look at what we've achieved. We've tried. And then this just trickles down literally the funnel to SDRs, to AEs, to just try to do what you can, to just book meetings, even though the qualification probably isn't there where it should be, and so on and so on.
No.
But is that a big advantage of the new year? So do you see that being different once the new year starts?
It's a problem of the system, actually. It's about the company culture as well. It's a problem of the company culture as well, because when a company really doesn't create a realistic goal for their employees, it's like everyone, even in the C level, they are like trying to reach their numbers, not targets. I'm saying numbers, just numbers. I just hit this. We just did, this amount of cold calls. We sent this amount of emails and all that stuff, and it doesn't change. It's a new year, so okay, we will send. Our target is send more numbers. So do more. So but how? So where is the quality? It's like everyone is, by the way, no one is, so everyone is mentioning about quality. It will be, we should focus more on qualified leads. It's like we should focus on more, it's like different channels when we do outreach. But at the end, everyone does the same thing. Everyone pursues their own goals. It's a good normal thing. It's like everyone should in a company pursue their own goals as well. But it should also tie it up to a common goal, a company goal. And this is the mainly the issue. When everyone just goes after themselves, their own interests, it just, it's not a company. It just, it's like people with the, titles on the same place, on the same Slack channel, doing the different things on the same parameters. So that's the, it's like the thing that the companies need to solve.
Yeah, because this leads to the game of finger pointing of, but hey, we in marketing achieved our targets if those targets are leads. And then, SDRs are like, well, we booked the amount of meetings we did. So that's like AE's fault. AE's follow up. And, it just moves on and on and on. And, it's not really being resolved. Nothing is being done about it. And that's just kind of, history continues.
Yeah, it's like I just experience it so much that everyone points someone. It's like, hey, I booked a meeting, but meetings were not qualified. But it's like the leads came from marketing. It's like everyone just, hey, marketing's fault. It's like AE's fault. It's like our strategy is false. It's like everyone is just, and I personally, so I don't like excuses. So I don't like to, blame someone for something. When I see a problem, I try to solve it. When I can't solve it by myself, I just try to get help. That's all. That's all my strategy, my personal strategy in my life with sales fellowship and all the in my previous work experiences. I just try to learn it before asking it, because it's also, it's like getting help is also important, of course, but Getting help without doing any research, it's a stupid thing. It's like people asking each other stupid questions. Hey, dude, do you have 2 minutes research? You can get the answer. You don't have to get help for, this unnecessary stuff that you, unnecessary problem that you have. That's also a problem. It's like it also everything comes down to communication, of course. It's like it's also the thing of communication, how you communicate, because in most cases, in some companies they think, hey, we have a great communication, but it's not a real communication. It's just people bothering each other, right? It's not communication when you bother someone with unnecessary things, and when you interrupt them doing their own business.
I think what makes it so difficult, especially now where we're talking about switching from one financial year and calendar year to the next one, is like this move for quality takes time, right? So at the beginning of the year, nearly everybody normally agrees on, yes, this year we're going for quality instead of quantity. And then you start out. And in marketing, if you haven't started this in the previous year, it takes time.
Yeah,
It takes time to switch towards demand gen approach. If you've run on a lead gen approach before, it this doesn't, it's not something that goes tomorrow.
yeah,
So so you start out and you move towards quality, and then you figure out, already end of the month, maybe even 2 3 months in, this takes time and we're not seeing results. So all of a sudden, everybody panics, and then it's like, nope, let's move back to what we know because it's somewhat predictable. And I think it's the same tendency that happens in sales, moving towards quality, having less calls and making them more qualified also takes time,
yeah,
because you have to allow SDRs, you have to allow AEs to do research and to focus on other things than just calling. And the old mechanism is still to just sit there and track how many calls has each SDR made, how many emails
mm,
have they sent out. And I think it's something that's really difficult to get away from, especially within senior leadership,
yeah,
because those are the methods you used to track and to predict.
yeah. Exactly, exactly. It's like you put, for example, for sales, you put actually a great post, carousel post about it, about your ICP. It's like in most companies, what I see, even it's like they're in the seed stage, or they just got a recent fund, Series A. They don't really have a really good ICP, an ideal customer profile, identified, and that's actually biggest issue, because they know it in their backend. So we need to find some really good target, then we need to do some outbound activity on that. But it's not that clear, because it's not that clear, especially for some product. It's also difficult to find a great niche to, it's like, to target. But once, if you didn't find that, you can't switch to, it's a quality if you don't have a good uh, ideal customer profile identified. And that's comes down also, it's the main thing, one of the main things in a company, that hey, I sell to this with, so with all the specifications, everything should be there, everything should be clear. Also, so it's not just for the C level, also for the, even for the SDRs, the basic SDR should know, hey, I can sell it to X kind of person from the X amount of, headcount having company, or something like this. So it should be, everything should be so much clear. ICP should be so clear, have to be, not should be, it have to be so clear. Then you can actually seek after qualified outbound activity, also marketing as well, I am assuming.
Yeah, and I think this is a good starting point, actually. If you want to align your sales and marketing function more, I mean, this needs to be the starting point of who is actually our ideal customer profile. Because again, in a situation that currently in a lot of organizations, sales and marketing have different targets, most likely they are looking at their own parts. right? So marketing is looking at like the ideal customer profile based on, well, who is like, who is most of our leads, where do we have the best conversion rates, where do we create the most leads, to what cost. And sales is of course looking this in a similar way, but for their specific part. And a lot of times kind of this objective, like, let's look at the data of who are our customers actually, how have they converted, where have they converted, and also what does our customer success team say. Like, are they successful customers, do they get the most out of our product, or do they actually have a poor adoption rate and just until now haven't figured out that they even pay for us. And I think that's a big starting big priority and a starting point to align those departments more. Because a lot of times, at
Yeah.
least what I felt, we talked the last time about that, SDRs and sellers can be very subjective in what they think like works and converts and who they want to talk to. And I think this is a part as well, that a lot of times what I heard from SDRs is like, we want to talk to the decision makers, we get the best results from decision makers. Where for us in marketing, it's like, well, when you look at like, I mean, there is so many other people involved before the decision
Yeah.
maker. And is this actually a proven thing that just because you talk to the C level, they are more likely to buy our solution?
Yeah, it's actually what also people are missing is there is always a champion in every company, also in the small ones. It's like he or she's not in a decision making level, but she, it's like looks after new tools to implement. In every company that I was, there was some guy who's not a C level because they don't C level. They don't have time. It's like it's like, hey, let's inspect, try, do a trial for this product. No, it's not also their job. They are the final decision maker. They will sign the contract, but they have a team, right? It's like, and their team is looking after. Hey, Julia, it's like, I'm in your team, and I found this tool. They reached me out. We arranged a demo. I looked at it. I want to see you as well. Hey, let's do a trial. It's like would be or so with your now you're a manager, so in the C level, and you don't have that much time. It's also harder to reach you out to arrange a demo because even so you're interested. You look at your calendar, you don't have enough time for it. What you do next is what I see. Even reaching out to the decision maker, they say, "Hey, I have a guy for this. Our I don't know XYZ manager looking after this tool. Um, let's contact him and get him into the emails and he can book a meeting." Actually, he's the decision maker, but there are other stakeholders involved in this process. Actually, these are the guys actually sign up for through your website, for example, for the marketing activities. When they see, hey, actually we are looking at some tool like this. Let's do this. Then let's sign me up. So when it's a webinar or something like something else, that's a guide or so for a trial or something, they are signing up. And because we are so focused on, hey, I need to close this as fast as possible, as salespeople, as fast as possible, and I should go to the next one. And we just forget, hey, not a single person that are working in that company. There are multiple processes. It's a finance guy is always doing. They're always in all these processes. So whatever you sell, sales tool, marketing, finance, or any product, they are in. So you can't forget them. When they sign up for something, you can say, hey, it's not our ICP or persona that we sell, so we will not contact them. It's a qualified lead from marketing. It's like we need to change the perception of B2B sales as well in that sense because when you limit SDRs so much just to book meetings, your job is book meetings, do outbound activity, book meetings, and you also keep them saying it's an entry level job. It's like you have to be promoted to account executive, I don't know, within a year. You give them, you lower the quality of the job. SDR job is being an SDR is the most important thing in sales. It's like they open doors. So what else do you need? It's not. I'm not thinking it's entry level. It never was, and it never will be an entry level job. But when you approach it like that, you got some newbies in it, new SDRs, and you keep them saying, hey, you will promote within this amount of time to another positions. And I don't think, to becoming an AE is a promotion. It's not in my eyes. It's the same thing, but just you, instead of opening deals, you just closing deals. It's the same thing.
But I think that's something that always fascinated me, because I've seen the same thing that you just said on like the SDR role being branded as this, like, yeah, this is your entry level role. And at the same time, as you say, it's such an important role. The amount of people SDRs speak to on a day-to-day basis and are like the first impression a lot of times that a company has of your product or solution. And then you're branding this is like, this is the entry level and they just started. Well, but at the same time, these are your faces in front of so many people that could be your potential customers. So isn't it kind of twisted how this is getting
Yeah.
sold?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like, just there is so many things that needs to be changed, because it's like we just, someone sets the rules. There was a book, about it's like splitting the sales roles between SDR, account executive, and customer success about 10 years ago. If I can remember, we can just write it down in the description later. And no, so after that, everyone follows the same path, and in time we think, hey, we should get everyone who wants to go and sell tech sales into an SDR role directly, make them do outbound calls. They are representing your company, and you don't give them enough training to do that, and they just ruin your reputation. It's like, hey, there was a guy, it's a pushy guy. He just, do a horrible cold calls me all the time, sends me generic emails. It's like, this company, what was it? XYZ. Yeah, yeah. It's like, I don't want to hear about them, even it's a good product. Even you have a good product. If the meal should be served well. If you put the best meal on the world and just throw it to your customer, they will not say, hey, it has a great taste. They will say, oh, what is going on here? I'm saying, I don't want that. That's the most important. How do you serve? And you serve with your SDRs.
And I think that's another thing that I find so fascinating, because as you say, a lot of like companies try to jump the gun with their ICP and say like, yeah, our SDRs should only speak to director, VP, and C level. But at the same time, you are fully aware that SDRs don't have the same experience and expertise on the subject that AEs might have or other roles within your company have. So you want to put your SDRs that, as you say, a lot of times aren't trained in the way they maybe should, don't have the confidence they need to do it. And then you want them to speak to those stakeholders that, have high expectations, that have very little time, and most of the times also very little patience. That's why SDR is such a difficult job.
Yeah, but for example, for me, it's the best job. I love it. I love to get in contact with people, building relationships, and everything. So we are building a community on it. I'm loving it so much. Now I'm building a community on it, and the thing also, it's also so important to, it's like, it's another topic actually we can talk about. It's like how marketing and training, employee training of marketing and sales, we can just make a comparison on that. They only tell about their product. No one cares about it. When I was out there, talking to people about the solution I'm selling, no one cares about, we have this amount of G2 review, and we are this good, we have this future. No one cares. You just need to focus on the problems you solve. They just want to hear that. I have this problem. Can you solve that? No, no, we have this future. And These SDRs, getting only a product training, talking to when they reach out to C levels, they just talk about, hey, we have this future, we have that future, we are this good, our Mercedes is our customer, DHL is our customer, X is our customer. I don't care. It's like, I don't care. I have a problem. Are you solving it? Or, it's like, you have to discover if there is a problem that you can really solve. There is a pain point, you know? That's the biggest issue for an SDR to solve. But in most of the cases, we are doing it otherwise, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I think we got some good points here on things that need to change in 2023, both in sales and marketing with SDRs, and also a great New Year's resolution to basically stop bullshitting.
Yes. Do some real marketing and sales. But I don't know if real marketing
Yes.
exists, but
Maybe next episode we'll talk about what real marketing means and what real sales
yeah,
means. But
definitely.
thanks for today and happy start of the year.
Yeah.